How's it going, everyone? Pewdiepie here.
Pewdiepie. My name is Pewdiepie. Pewdiepie.
My name is Pewdiepie. How's it going, bros? This is Pewdiepie.
The largest channel on YouTube has been ostracized by YouTube and Disney for his supposedly anti-Semitic remarks, as reported by nearly every major newspaper and media outlet. But is PewDiePie really a Nazi-sympathizing, Jew-hating racist as he is being labeled? Well, PewDiePie is a comedian. His channel has been based on his style of humor involving video games, parodies, and overall trolling for years. Yet, he's being demonized for jokes and references deemed too offensive by the mainstream media. You've probably heard countless other YouTubers make a video about this, but mine is going to be a specific breakdown of how artificial and fake this outrage from the media and the real reason as to why PewDiePie is being censored, as well as a look into comedy and its relation to hate speech. PewDiePie has been pushing the buttons of the quote-unquote progressive media for a while now with his completely non-politically correct and trollish humor. The joke he did with paying the two Indian kids to hold that sign seems to have been the straw that broke the camel's back. For more on PewDiePie's history with trolling and all that, Sargon of Akkad has an excellent video where he chronicles the timeline of events and shows the many times where PewDiePie has been anti-politically correct. But I'm going to be focusing on the clear effort to censor PewDiePie in comedy and how hypocritical some of these people criticizing him truly are. The first thing I want to address comes from my good old pals, the Young Turks, who had this to say on the matter.
Why is he wrong about this? And why do I think that he went in the wrong direction here? Because I think that at this point we're far away from the Holocaust that people have starting to get desensitized to it. Yeah. At some point people lose track of what's a joke and what's not a joke, and then all of a sudden it becomes acceptable to put signs like that up.
Yeah.
And we don't want to normalize that.
Oh, I get it. So it's wrong to normalize hateful groups and events from history, right? Then please explain to me, Cenk, why your news organization is named after the genocidal Young Turks. You know, the same group in charge of systematically slaughtering 1.5 million Armenians, Greeks, and other groups in 1915? You wouldn't consider it normalizing to name your news organization after them, would you? Because that would be completely hypocritical.
And when you see what happened there, it is so horrific that once you hear those stories, it becomes, luckily, impossible to joke around about.
I'm glad you're so informed on the past atrocities of the Nazis and the Holocaust. You should be informed on them. But you don't seem to be very educated on what the Young Turks did to the Armenians. You know, things like death marches with old and young citizens, the raping of young girls, and the crucifixion of young girls as well by the Young Turks. What a convenient double standard you have. Normalizing the name of the group that perpetrated those things is completely okay, but supposedly making references to the Nazis and Hitler is not okay at all. But see, even that's an inaccurate comparison because while you're a news organization that isn't comedic at all, PewDiePie is very clearly a comedian. His content is filled with parody and satire. He's not giving literal statements of hatred or racism. This is abundantly clear to his fans or anyone with a brain for that matter. And to be clear, I actually don't take offense to the Young Turks' name, nor do I think it should be censored in any way. But my point is, Cenk's stance on this issue is completely hypocritical given the historical context of his show's name. Plus, the entire point PewDiePie was trying to make with his video was to show how absurd it is that you could get people to do anything with the internet. And in this case, that was getting two Indians to hold a sign that says things like, "Kill all Jews." And yet every news source from Washington Post to Wallstreet Journal to Time has taken this reference and any other reference PewDiePie has made to Nazis completely out of context and has used it for grounds to label him as an anti-Semite. If it wasn't clear already, this entire situation makes it painfully obvious how hypocritical and inaccurate the mainstream progressive media is. Also, quick little side note, if you just slightly arrange the Wall Street Journal's own acronym, you pretty much spell out what they actually are. Anyways, the references to Hitler and the Nazis that Felix has made are nothing new to YouTube and certainly nothing new to comedy. How many countless times has Family Guy or South Park made overt references to Jews in the Holocaust? Like hundreds of times? Or how many comedians have referenced the Holocaust and Jews and all of that in a satirical way? So just because PewDiePie is on YouTube, which is owned by Google and apparently has affiliation with Disney, he's now the bad guy for making very similar references and jokes? You could have had this entire media outrage on the creators of South Park or Family Guy and spun the stories the exact same way, labeling them as anti-Semites. You can't say PewDiePie should be held to a higher standard than South Park, which has been one of the most watched animated shows of the past decade. It seems like PewDiePie has had a target painted on his back and that there is a concerted effort to get him dethroned from the top of YouTube. This is clearly an effort by the left-leaning media outlets to politicize and characterize comedy as hate speech. PewDiePie is often trolling. He isn't afraid to say anything, and that pisses off the primed and proper PC police more than anything. Joe Rogan has had many great conversations about comedy and the people who take offense to it, and this particular clip speaks volumes to the situation involving PewDiePie. Take a listen.
But there's like this PC police thing going on now where a bunch of people who they're trying to right the wrongs and trying to be the savior of what's good in the world. But that's not the case. What they're doing is just being an asshole because they feel like they have a license to be an asshole because they can take what you said and put it on paper and say, look, in quotes, Tracy Morgan said if his son was gay, he'd stab him, in quotes. So fuck Tracy Morgan. But Tracy Morgan's a ridiculous person. Like, his whole act is a bunch of shit that he doesn't mean. Yeah. It's a bunch of crazy things that have never happened, and he says a bunch of crazy things because that's his style of comedy.
The comparisons of people to Nazis or calling them literally Hitler is greatly overdone and over-sensationalized. From Milo Yiannopoulos, who, by the way, is Jewish, to Donald Trump and now PewDiePie, apparently everyone who doesn't totally fall in line with the progressive left is a Nazi. And that, my friends, is how you successfully destroy freedom of speech. So let's recap here. PewDiePie is a comedian, and none of the Nazi or anti-Semitic references he made were done in a serious or hateful manner, as he himself has actually publicly stated after this entire outcry. Media outlets saw an opportunity to drive up their clicks and traffic to their websites by jumping on this story. Given PewDiePie's past history with YouTube and his stances on free speech, it seems like YouTube and Disney already wanted to sever ties with him, and this was the perfect excuse to do that. Also, the Young Turks are hypocritical morons as usual. Countless other platforms and shows have made similar references, if not more potentially offensive references, yet no one bats an eye. And what this really boils down to is censorship of free speech, and yet another effort by the PC police to demonize anyone who dares to say anything quote-unquote offensive. Thanks for watching, this has been Glink, and I'll see you guys next time.